Hey yo, welcome to the Best Day Ever podcast. It's your boy, True Sav. Another exciting day in the life. It is a sad, sad day here in Oconda. Today is the last episode we're going to do from the Batcave. I'm actually moving, so today is the last day. We will be in this apartment. A lot of fond memories here at the fucking Roach Motel. Yeah, right. Fuck this apartment complex. Yeah. Fucking $2,000 for neighbors that are on rent control that have been here from the 80s that pay $800 a month in rent and have rats and roaches in their shit. Yeah, no thank you. Sharing washers and dryers, then wanting $250 for an uncovered parking spot. Yeah, can't wait to leave. Again, pictures and videos of the new apartment will be available December 1st. I just had to get that out. Sorry. Yeah, it's winter here in the Bay Area. I had to turn the heater off. So, how you doing? How are you? It's been so long. I missed you guys. Oh, and good news, I should say. We got our first email here at the Best Day Ever podcast. Yes. Reaching the masses. And it only took, 18 episodes. Not bad. I will get into that a little later. Funny stuff. This, I shouldn't even say funny stuff. As we all know, I try to leave the bread and circus alone. I don't really participate in sports, politics, religion, and stuff like that. I leave that alone. My childhood team, though, the San Francisco 49ers, are off to a magical season, of course. And a lot of people on Facebook love to tell me how sorry they are and so on and so forth. So from time to time, I will indulge people's delusions and I'll play along. One particular gentleman, who I'm not going to out because I'm an amazing person who would never do that to anyone. He decided that, he had posted something about 49ers were trash and this and this and this. So I said, okay, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? He said, okay, well, how much do you want to bet? I said, well, a friendly 100 would be nice. I mean, since you're so confident that they're trash and they're going to lose to the Packers. So he puts one of the emoji faces of like a guy scratching his chin or something. So I said, okay, 100 is a little too rich for your blood. That's fine. Let's drop it down to 50 because I'm not driving from Sacramento, or I'm not driving from the Bay Area to Sacramento for anything less than $50. So he says, okay, bet. This was maybe 3 weeks before the game. So it was either 3 weeks ago or right after we played the Seahawks and had lost. So okay. And at the time I was kind of shook because I wasn't too sure how they would do against the Packers. I mean, it was $50 we were going to see. Well, as you know, the 49ers beat the brakes off the Packers last night. So, as the game progressed, I was like, why don't I go back on his page and look and see where this comment was about this bet so I can cash in my money. So I go back a week or two and I'm looking like, that's interesting. I can't seem to find this post. I found the first one where we talked about Arizona had kind of exposed the 49ers because the mobile quarterback situation. Then there was another post where he talked about something else that I know definitely was after the bet, but I couldn't find the post in the middle. For the second half of the game, I had to go in the back on the computer and I literally scoured dude's entire Facebook profile looking for this conversation. And I finally came to the conclusion that he deleted it. Yes. He went back and deleted the entire post of the bet. Now, I don't know if he did this during the game because I didn't start to look until maybe the second quarter, or if he did it immediately following. So I said, okay, well, and this also was weird because I had looked on Saturday when I was at work. He was commenting about the game and something or other, and I posted a picture of $50, which is the amount of money that we bet. And then he responded with, "Oh, that's what you got on Saturday's game," almost like he had forgotten. It's like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." I was like, "Yeah, well, I didn't have." I was like, "Well, yeah, the bet's good. Like the money's on the wood. I got my money right now," and he didn't respond. So I was like, "Okay, like is he playing dumb or like what's going on?" So as soon as the clock hits 4 zeros, I immediately post on his Facebook page, "Yo, I'll be in SAC next Monday. Like I need my money in all ones." This was a dead giveaway that he was lying. He immediately responds and says, "What bet though?" And so I knew he was lying because if someone says something like that, the first question should be, "Did we bet something?" Or maybe, "What are you talking about?" But he instantly responded, so I knew he already knew what I was talking about. So I described the entire conversation to him. I brought up the $100, the driving to the Bay, or driving from the Bay to Sacramento, and he pretends like he doesn't know what I'm talking about and says, "Oh, well, I wasn't sure that you were talking about. I wasn't sure that you were talking about betting." And so at this point, I was just like, "Okay, you just don't want to pay. That's fine. I'm not tripping. That's all right." Because I mean, I posted the picture of the money. You deleted the post where we talked about it. Like, it's cool, bro. Like, if $50 is going to kill you that much, it's all right. I don't need it. I'll see you in the playoffs if you guys make it. And it's weird because people aren't who they say they are online. A lot of times the people who are on Instagram and Facebook who have all these followers and say all this funny stuff, they're not like that in real life. Like they have this persona, and I'm not talking specifically about him, but he's just a Welch. I can't tell you how many people have bet something online and then all of a sudden they don't have the money when it's time to come up. But especially I've met people who have tens of thousands of followers, and I've met them in real life, and they're just kind of standoffish or don't really have much to say, and then they'll leave whatever event we're at, and then on Instagram, this happened and this happened. Oh, ha ha ha! And like they're good with a meme, or they're good with an emoji, but just in real life, they don't really have the people skills, or they don't really. Their popularity in cyberspace doesn't translate into the real world. My wife was more mad about it than I was. It's like, "Oh, you should like, why didn't you screenshot it and this and so on and so forth?" And I was like, like for what? Like even if it's like he probably would have deleted that if I would have screenshotted the actual conversation and then posted it. It's like, but then what happens? Like, now he's going to be embarrassed. And then he's going to be upset. And he's going to be mad. It's like, why go through all that? Like, there's no point. It's not like it's going to embarrass him into coming up with the money. So it's, which is even more hilarious because today, like, I was looking at his page today because I'm not going to unfriend him or block him because you're a Welch, like whatever. It happens all the time. He posted something about buying a $600 TV on Walmart. He said, what did he say? Walmart has like a 70-inch TV for $550. And I showed my wife the post and was like, "But you don't have $50 for a bet?" Like, yeah, bro, come on. Like, whew. Some people take fake it till you make it to an extreme. Like, they really live their life like that. But hey, God bless them. Still the best day ever. In more exciting news, I learned something so exciting this week. I was talking to one of the older ladies in the morning that I work with. I'll set the scene for you. A lady walked by with a atrocious wig on. So I tapped my coworker. I was like, yo, check out her hair hat. She said, her what? I was like, her hair hat. I was like, if guys can wear fitted caps for New Era, like, you guys have hair hats too. Like, they should be sponsored by New Era, just like ours are. And she starts cracking up, and she says, "Oh, that's not a wig. That's a sew-in." I was like, "A sew-in? What's that?" She's like, "You don't know what a sew-in is?" I was like, I never dated black girls who wore weaves, so I don't know. She's like, "You really don't know what that?" I was like, the first time I really learned about what weaves and all that stuff was in the Chris Rock documentary, Good Hair. That was the first time. I was like, my mom didn't wear them. My sister didn't. Like, she pressed her hair, but I mean, she never had all that other stuff. Like I knew what box braids were. I knew that was fake hair, like the really long ones, like Old Girl on Friday. But other than that, I don't know. So she explained the difference to me. And it was a learning experience. It was something new that I had never heard of before. So there is apparently, there's a few different kinds. I will only share with you a few because I'm not an expert. The first one she told me about was the lace front. This is the one where you braid your hair and it has the stocking cap underneath it. And they put it on, and it redefines like your hairline. So like it's the ones that like really full, apparently. So like when you see the people with like the really long like curly hair one, it's that one, or like the really long one. I have no idea. I'm still trying to Google it right now, so I can figure this out. The second one she told me about is a sew-in. So the sew-ins, again, it's the same thing where you have the braided hair. And they sew the hair, they sew it into your hair, like literally, like, so you buy the packs of whatever, and they sew it in there like a seamstress, and you get your long flowing hair. I know it's blowing my mind too. I had no idea. Like I had seen them before. Like obviously everyone's seen a weave before, but I didn't know the science behind it. Then there's the glue ones, but I thought this was a joke. I didn't think this was a real thing. Apparently you glue the hair to your head or something of that nature, which is why when you see those fights on World Star and they're grabbing each other's hair and they're just yanking out patches, that's what that is. Or sometimes that's the sewing, apparently. But yeah, that's the thing. Mind blown. I had no idea. On top of that, these things cost hundreds of dollars to do. God bless them. It's not my place to say that's not what you're supposed to do, but hey, whatever. Lastly, but not leastly, let's see, lace fronts, sew-ins, the glue ones, and then there's tracks. She told me about that one. The tracks are like strips of hair. So it'll be maybe an inch, 2 inches long, and there's like hair that goes down. And I think those are the ones that you glue in. And it creates like they give them like the Moses part, where like the part is like half an inch or something. It was crazy. I'm not an expert. She broke it down for me really quick. I didn't really remember, but it was deep. I didn't know there was a whole situation, or there was a whole theme about it. But yeah, then she showed me a website with like these women that had alopecia, and alopecia is when they start to lose their edges. I had no idea what that was either. So it was people who had, if you've ever seen RoboCop or Star Trek with my man Lieutenant Worf, or I mean Stephen A's hairline, it looks like that. Where like it starts at the ear, it goes up over across the top of the head, and like everything is just pushed back. It's crazy because you've glued it so many times, or you've sewn it in, and it's so much pressure right there, your hair just doesn't grow back. It's, the price of beauty, boy. I'm here to tell you. Now, I know you're like, True Sad, that story has nothing to do with football or sports. Or I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with the topic. Yes, it does. It's leading into something else. Now, that was this morning, or that was, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday morning. I go into work at the gym on Saturday, and one of the young ladies that was a new hire, we were talking about some friend that she had back in the day. She was talking about how she had got jumped by this girl, and I was like, wait, what? Like, why were you guys fighting? And she said, oh, well, she borrowed my clothes, and, excuse me, she didn't borrow, she stole some clothes from her, and she went to the girl's house against her mother's suggestion to get the clothes back, and she got jumped. So she tells me she got beat up and whatnot. She's like, it's cool though, because I caught all of them one by one and beat their ass. I was like, what? I was like, bro, that sounds exactly like this video on World Star. She's like, oh, I know that boy. I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, I know him. Like, he's from Oakland. And she told me, like, where he beat them up at. And, like, I Googled him. I Google searched the images because I was like, I don't really believe her. And, yeah, that was in Oakland. If you don't know, there's a video of this kid. He gets jumped by, like, 5 or 6 guys. Yeah, regular shit. But in the video, he goes and finds each one of them and beats every one of their asses one by one. So he found like 4 of them and videotaped him beating every one of them. It is fucking hilarious. He's a savage. God damn it. You're an honorary member. I'm bequeathing it to you now. So she was like, yeah, I did the same thing. Like, I knew who they were. So I just caught them one by one. I was like, damn, all right, do you think? So I was like, well, I mean, you guys were friends. Like, what happened? She's like, oh, well, she was a chemical baby. And I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, she's a chemical baby. Like, her mom smokes crack and shit. And I was like, a chemical baby. That's a new one. I was like, I've never heard that one yet. So she says, like, they were friends, whatnot. And she goes on to describe a story about how she used to give her old hair. And I was like, old hair? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, and it was ironic because I had just had this conversation about the weaves and so on and so on and so forth. So I was like, oh, okay, I know what that is. I was like, but describe what you mean for me. So apparently, this was a new one. Breaking news. If the hair is of a good enough quality, the women will take it out and wash it and use it again. I know. I had my mind was blown. I couldn't believe it. I was like, so when you say use it again, what do you mean? She's like, if you buy like some cheap hair, then you just throw it away because there's no use in doing it again. But if you buy like the stuff that the superstars use, which is like $1,000, or they're probably not buying the $1,000 stuff, but a couple $100, like you can wash it and use it again because it's real human hair. Which, again, I was a little out of my depth. So she said that she cut the hair out after she wore it for however long and was going to throw it away. And the girl took it out of the garbage can, washed it, cut her hair out, and then had someone braid it into her hair. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, sizes, and colors, when I tell you that I was speechless for at least 2 minutes, I didn't know what to say. I had never I'd never dated anybody that did that. All the black girls I dated just wore their hair however they had it. Like if it was in a fro or it was curly or if they pressed it from time to time. Like, I still right now, as I'm telling you this, didn't know how to respond. Like I wasn't going to laugh. Like it wasn't funny, but it was almost awkward. Cause I was like, wow, like I get it. Like if that's what you like and that's what you think makes you more attractive, God bless you. I just have never seen that. And the cost of beauty is something else, man. It was, whew. Shout out to her though. Now, this email that I was talking about, well, I guess it was kind of an email, kind of a text message. Okay, it was really someone that I work with that listened to an episode. But it's the first response we've got. So I'm calling it an email. I'm calling it the first one we got. Guy I work with at 24, he listened to the last one. Said the good, the bad. One of the things that he said was, he's like, Trusav, you're always so like cool, calm, and collected. Like, I've never seen you get mad. I've never seen you get like overly excited about something. Like, you're just right in the middle. You never really show too much emotion. And then he's like, with your episode, how did you, because what is he? He's like 19, 20, something like that. And he's like, how did you get like that? Like, he's like, in the episode, you didn't really explain what got you there. Like, you're just talking about the end result. So can you explain that? And I was like, well, of course, sir. I will be more than happy to talk about myself and tell you how great I am sometimes. So it actually, when he said it, it actually made me like kind of think, how did I get to that point? I can't say it was one particular event or series of events, but it was more the culmination of a lifetime of different experiences and such. And then, let me be clear, there's a difference between being a self-confident person and being a narcissist. I think he took it as, when I said, I'm the shit and I know it, oh, you think that you're better than people? And I was like, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm just saying that I believe in myself. I think I figured it out. I have a situation where I've got things under control. A narcissist, by definition, I explained to him, is somebody who's self-centered. They think about themselves. They don't care about other people's goals. Have a sense of superiority. Like they think they're always right. They think they deserve more than other people. Lack of empathy. That's an important one. Like compassion for other people. Like that's a main narcissistic one. Manipulative or controlling. Strong need for admiration. Like they need all the praise. Have to be the center of attention. I know a couple of people like that. Difficulty taking feedback. They overreact to criticism if you tell them they did something wrong. They try to switch it back on you. Oh, well, you did this, and you did that, so on and so forth. Or they're easily wounded, quick to feel hurt or angry, frequently feel wronged by others. That's a narcissist. Me saying I'm the shit because I think so, I mean, there's probably a little bit of narcissism in there, but you need a little bit of self-confidence, Jesus. So, different events. One thing I would have to say for sure, sports is probably a reason why I have a lot of, not because I was great. I wasn't Bo Jackson or something. I wasn't this amazing 5-sport athlete or anything. But certain events that happened, I think that sports are good to a degree. It teaches you how to communicate with others, how to figure out problems, deal with adversity. Sports really teaches you that there's always going to be, especially group sports. If it's tennis, swimming, something like that, it's not really the deal. Baseball and basketball, because I didn't play football earlier, or even soccer, there's always going to be people on your team that are amazing, that you're going to lean on when you need a win. But there's also those people who aren't going to come through, who are there because their parents want them to play, that they're just not good. And part of sports is learning how to work with people like that. And that's true not only in sports, but at work. I'm sure right now we can all think of at least 4 or 5 people at our job that aren't worth a penny with a hole in it. And half of your job is trying to balance, especially my job, because I'm the boss. So I've got to figure out, how do I utilize my good employees as well as the bad employees, playing into people's strengths and weaknesses. How do you make that work? because I can't just say, oh, I'm going to fire all the bad people and only keep the good people. That's not realistic. Some people just don't have the talent. And that's not a negative thing. It's just some people just aren't good at everything, which is awkward because it's like, how can you be bad at ringing up transactions? But that's neither here nor there. One specific moment that I can think of that I've played in like a youth basketball camp back in the day at the Elk Grove High. And we would go to the games on Friday night, cheer for the high school people. And my coach, what was his name? My man Justin, never forget. They were playing Valley High School. At the time, Valley was good in basketball. Good game. Close game. Gets down to the fourth quarter. They are down by, what is it? By 1? My man is shooting free throws. And free throws were a big thing. And our defense and shooting free throws was like the one thing that we talked about all the time. Because if you can't score points, you got to be able to play good defense. And if you get fouled, you got to make your free throws. So coach goes up, makes the first free throw. All right. Misses the second one. They run down the court, throw up a last second desperation shot, make it, we lose. So the next day, we still have to go to the camp. Now, in my mind, I didn't understand that he was in high school. So, like, because to me, I'm in 5th grade, 6th grade. So to me, you're an adult. You're in high school, like, you're a grown-up. I'm not realizing that he's a 17, 18-year-old kid. And that's a lot of pressure for someone 17, 18. So he's got on the all black and he's moping around. It was, other kids didn't notice, but I was a little bit more perceptive because I could obviously notice he's upset that this happened. Like, you lost the big game against a division rival. Like, I get it. So we're playing our game, same situation. We end up being tied, but I mean, you got to have a winner, right? So we go into overtime. Rules are, because we're little kids, 5th, 6th grade, so whoever makes the next bucket wins. So we miss one, they miss one, we miss, they miss. Next thing you know, it's time for your boy to shine. Somebody kicks me the ball on the wing, like Jordan in the playoffs. Hit a 10, 15-footer, prime time. And the feeling that I got when that happened was a very strange feeling. Because now you're the winner. You did it. And to that point, I'd never been in that position before in team sports. I mean, in soccer, I wasn't really somebody who scored. In baseball, it wasn't really that big of a deal yet. I hadn't been in that situation. So, make the shot. Everybody rushes over. Yeah, you did it. And I could kind of see that it made the coach feel better. Because, like, yeah, his team won. And then I actually had a different kind of relationship with most of them because it was weird because I would talk to them like I'm 5th, 6th grade, but I would still hang out with them and bullshit with them and whatnot. So he got to almost vicariously live through me, strangely enough, because I had hit the game winner, and it was moving forward in my sports career. Little moments like that made it feel like, well, I know I can do it because I did it before. And strangely enough, the next game I dropped like 20 on them. But I digress. I'm the shit and you know it. Another one that still makes me smile to this day. Winning up front camp. Winning up front is, for you non-football aficionados, winning up front was for linebackers and linemen. So the big ugly guys, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, stuff like that. And the camp is just, it teaches you different techniques, stuff like that. Well, it was Elk Grove and maybe 6 or 7 other high schools. And this was going into my senior year. Now, my junior year, I was on one of the best teams to ever have played in the state of California. So needless to say, I didn't play too much. Like, they didn't need me. I think we won by an average of like 30 something points, which is amazing. So we basically won by 4 touchdowns every game at the smallest amount of was the smallest victory that we had. Which is funny because I actually watched that highlight tape the other day. Someone posted it on YouTube. So if you're ever bored, 1998 to 1999 Elk Grove Thundering Herd. Watch that. We actually had a guy that was in the NFL on that team. So it was pretty interesting. So we go to the camp, and Johnson was there, Sheldon was there, a couple other schools that were decent. So one of the things that we do is everybody circles up, and you can call people out. So you can say, I want to go against this person, and it's in front of the whole camp. So you get 1 shot on offense, 1 shot on defense. So wouldn't you know it, my name gets called first. I want you to say, I was like, oh, I will oblige. Go on offense, manhandle dude. Go on defense, manhandle dude. So somebody else goes. Next thing I know, I want true Sev. So this happened maybe 4 or 5 times. I didn't lose on offense, and I won on defense every time. So now everyone at the camp saw what happened. All the coaches, all the different high schools. So now it's like, oh, he's the man. Like, you called him out, and he won. So with situations like that, it's like it's hard to not feel confident in your abilities. Especially when it's on a stage in front of people. Now, if I'd have folded, I might have had a little bit of self-doubt. But, I mean, I did what I was supposed to do. So this, of course, only made me feel even better. Because, I mean, this was, at the time, I'm a senior. So there's no one better than me now. And even when I was a junior, my thing was in practice, you practice the way you play. That was always what I was taught. So I was going 100% in practice. So if I'm practicing against some of the best people in California and I'm destroying them by default, I should be one of the best, was my thinking. So I didn't take it as, oh, you're just trying hard, just practice, like it doesn't really count. It's like, well, they seem to think so. Because they were getting that ass whooped. After the end of the season, after the end of my junior season, the guys that I was playing with that were the best to ever do it, they all came and said, like, practice was the hardest thing for us during the year. Because you played all 5 positions, like, and you were just unmerciful. You would beat the shit out of us every day. So when we got to the game, it was like, oh, this is easy. So that made me feel good. It's like, oh, so I am as good as I think I am. And that was the sports part. Academically, it was the same thing. When I was in 6th or 7th grade, I did a science fair project. And not the good old, let's make a volcano, something like that. I had did, what was it? It was, can plants grow with getting water on their leaves? It was, I can't remember. Well, no, I do remember. It was a 2-part one. What chemicals inhibit growth? So, like, I put, like, just water, like regular tap water. I put Miracle Grow. I did, like, filtered water. And then I did, like, some kind of chemical, like Clorox or something, as a variant. So I had that. And then the second part of it was, can plants grow with only their leaves being watered and not the roots? Something like that. I mean, this is an elementary school science fair project. So I actually, because I went to private school, so I won an award where I had to go to Cal Expo to show off my science fair project because it was one of the best ones in the state. So, I mean, to me, I was like, I'm winning. I'm getting accolades not for sports, but for this. Yeah, I fuck up from time to time. I'm an asshole. Like, I wasn't entitled But when you're a winner, winners get certain privileges. And certain privileges were extended to me because you're good at things. And if you're likable, people will go out of their way to do stuff for you. It's it's the way of the world. It's not good or bad. It's just how the game goes. Now, did sports, did education. Also part of it is interacting with other people. Like you have to become self-confident in your ability to interact. One of the things I do appreciate that my parents did at the time, I didn't get it. And I was kind of upset, is that they made me go to sports programs that weren't necessarily in my neighborhood. So instead of going to the nice neighborhood and playing with Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, they sent me to Oak Park and Meadowview to go play with Tay Tay and Man Man and them. At the time, I didn't get it. I was just like, why am I over here? And I asked them later, I was like, why did you do that? And it's like, well, you're going to have to interact with people across the spectrum later on in life. You're not going to be able to just interact with people of one socioeconomic class. Like you're going to have to deal with people like this in real life. So your best bet is to just become accustomed to it and learn how to deal with it. So it made sense because especially now in the position that I am now, because I have to deal with people that, had I not done it, I wouldn't know how to deal with some of the employees that we have right now. I wouldn't be able to relate. I wouldn't be able to understand a lot of their issues, where they were coming from a lot of times. One thing that always confused me was like they won't let certain shit go. Like some people just will not let disrespect go. I don't really either. Like disrespect won't be tolerated by anyone at any time. I say that a lot. In certain situations though, sometimes you gotta let it ride. Usually when it's the police or if it's a sketchy situation, sometimes you know what, all right, I'm just gonna let this one ride. But that's one thing that I noticed a lot of the people that especially early in life when I was a kid, especially in Meadowview, they would not let it go. It was like, if any sort of disrespect, like, we're about to fight. But it's like, you're about to get kicked out of school, bro, or you're about to get suspended. And it's like, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. But remember that I said that. Remember that I said that. I promise. It'll come back up later. Oh, okay. I've got a really good one for you. So, I'm good at sports. I'm kind of smart. This all changed. My confidence got a little shook when we got to middle school, though. Because in middle school, it's not really the same as elementary school. You're a kid. Now you're becoming a young adult. You got different classes, so on and so forth. And one of the things that threw me off in middle school was how I dressed. Because no one ever got on me about how I dressed in private school. Like, we were there to learn. It wasn't a fashion show. But in middle school, oh yeah, especially 7th grade, because I didn't know. Like, I didn't wear anything fashionable. I got all my clothes from the swap meet, or from Mervyn's. Most of my shoes came from Mervyn's. I've never seen the inside of a Foot Locker or what was the other one? Whatever that fancy shoe place was. I can't think of it. Or order stuff from East Bay. That's a throwback. Like, that just wasn't in my radar back then. And so when kids would get on me about my clothes, it would be like, well, I mean, it's like, okay, like, but you're failing all of your classes. Like, why do my clothes matter? Or my shoes, for that matter? I mean, it bothered me a little bit, but my jokes were too good. I would just call them stupid, and we would go from there. Also, in 8th grade was when I had met Phonetics and D-Rock. This was the birth of the Savages. So, as a matter of fact, I used to go to their house in the morning and watch SportsCenter because we didn't have cable at that point. They were the first people I had met with cable. So we would go to the crib and watch SportsCenter before school because I got dropped off at school at Jesus, 7 o'clock, 7:30. School didn't start till almost 9. So we would go to their house, watch Sports Center, and then come back. Because at the junior high I went to only had 7th graders at first. We didn't have 8th graders. We were the first class. And then when we were 8th graders, there were 7th graders. So that was the deal. But even with that, I mean, it was more, because I mean, to be a savage, you have to be oh, Jesus Christ, accepting of people for who they were. Because I mean, we didn't have nothing. Like, we were just regular people living it up. So that was middle school. High school. Oh, first fight I ever got in. I remember it like it was yesterday. Victor Marquez. It wasn't really a fight. It wasn't even a real fight. It was, hey, we have some boxing gloves. It's lunchtime. Let's go behind the building one time. So I was a junior in high school. I was 16, 17. At this point, I'd never been in a fight before in my life. Because usually I could talk my way out of it. No one really tried me like that. So Victor, for perspective, my man Victor is probably 5'8", 180. At the time I was probably 6'2", 280, something like that. So the fight wasn't fair from the beginning. Well, unfortunately, based on skill, it wasn't either. I mean, I watched boxing with Pops every Friday night fights. So, I mean, Teddy Atlas pretty much put me up on game, but there's a difference between theory and practical application. The jab was deadly, I'm here to tell you, but my man Victor won on points. It wasn't even like we were really trying to hurt each other. But I mean, shout out to Victor. My man put tips on me. That was my first L. It was an exhibition, so I guess it doesn't really count. So, I mean, again, all of these things individually didn't really equal up to much, but all together, like, you start to gain confidence in doing stuff like that. Now, the other exhibition that I had was with my man Sean Smith. He got tips put on him. Now, it's weird. It's a weird dynamic because I started school early. So when I was a senior, I was 16. He was a freshman and he was 15. Or was he a sophomore? I think he might have been a sophomore. So he was 15, 16 too. But it's weird because we're 2 grades apart, but we're the same age. So it's the same thing. Let's get the boxing gloves and see who's got it. Because I talk shit. I love talking shit. So a lot of times people think they're going to shut me up. I was like, all right, well, shut me up then. So it was behind, this is when we still had the auto class. So we go back where all the auto class stuff is. Got a nice little crowd going. And he got tips put on him. So much to the point that his brother tried to come up to the school and fight me. And I was like, bro, first of all, I'm 16 years old. If you fucking touch me, you're going to jail. So relax. And for context, his brother is Sean Scott. If you Google his brother, I want to say it's Scott Smith. He has one of the best fucking knockouts in UFC history. My man gets hit in the ribs and he kind of fakes like he's hurt and then uppercuts dude to death. That is the guy that tried to fight me when I was in high school. Yeah. I would have dusted him off though back. No, I would have got dusted off. But I mean, again, these are all things that built up self-confidence that made me think like, I mean, I'm the shit. Like, I mean, we all take losses. I mean, I forgot most of my losses. I remember most of the wins. After that, I think I was, minus the Asian dude, I think I had a pretty good record. I think I only had 1 or 2 losses on my record after that. I don't know. I think maybe just 1. It doesn't matter. I'm too old. I can't be worried about my street fighting record right now. As magical as it was. With all of this being said, so there's sports, education, being as confident in who I am as a person, and punching motherfuckers in the face. I didn't do it by myself. There is, more than anything, there's probably 3 books that I've read that got me to the place where I was at. The first one being the Bible. I've already talked about that countless times. There's no need to bring that one up. You can figure out. Well, since I was there all the time, there's different scriptures and different lessons that you get taught that just kind of made me believe in myself. Again, mixed with all the other stuff we already talked about. But the second book that I read would be 48 Laws of Power. This came out when I was in high school. I think I was a junior. I read it my senior year. And I'm not going to do all 48 of them because some of them don't apply. Some of them don't really apply for certain situations. But I'll give you a brief one of some of the ones that I know that kind of got me to where I was. If you haven't read it, 48 Laws of Power, amazing book. If you're starting a business, trying to be a manager, or just need some directive, period. If you're in a rut, trying to get some things figured out, read the book. There's certain laws that I don't really use. That's not really my forte. For certain people, that might be it. One of the things, well, here, I'll give you a couple. I'll give you 6 or 7 of the things. One of them is never outshine the master. That's one I had to learn the hard way. That's sometimes you can talk yourself into situations. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you'll attain the heights of power. So it's when you have a boss that you know doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. If you ever say that in front of someone, other employees, your boss is going to hate you because now you made them look bad. This is why it's best to say that kind of thing in private. A lot of times back in the day, even in old school movies, when there's the king and the right-hand man, like the king is usually stupid as fuck. But it's the guy who's sitting next to the king who tells him like, hey, yo, you should do this or you should do that. That's usually the powerful guy. The guy usually in control. Perfect example, George Bush and Dick Cheney. We all know George Bush wasn't making no power moves. It was all Dick Cheney. Law 6, court attention at all costs. Surround your name with the sensational and the scandalous. I think I pretty much have this one mastered. Did you believe what Truesad did? He drove the wrong way down Mac Road with the whatever bottle out the window. Like, you have to kind of create an air of mystery around yourself. Because then if you attach yourself with like quality or an image that like sets you apart from other people, then it makes you different from other people, and people are going to want to be around you. Law number 9, win through your actions, never through argument. I mean, that speaks for itself. You're never going to argue yourself into a position where people are going to like you or love you. You got to show them. You got to be about that action, boss. Law 30, make your accomplishments seem effortless. Another self-explanatory one. I mean, we all know that accomplishing things are difficult, but when you explain to people like, oh, it was so hard, I had to do this, nah. It's nothing to a boss. It's easy. Law number 34, my favorite one. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. I may not have the best clothes. I may not have the coolest car, but I'm going to drive this rabbit like it's a Mercedes, my guy. I know I don't got all the hoes, nothing like that, but I'm going to act like it. One day everything is going to fall into place for me. Number 35, master the art of timing. Life is all about timing. You got to be in the right place at the right time. What does it say? Some people call it luck. Some people call it timing. You got to be prepared when the situation arises. Law 36 is disdain things that you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. That was me. Like, I couldn't get the Nikes. I couldn't get the cute girl. I couldn't get none of that. So it just became unimportant. What did it say? This is because your interest is too strong. Or I'm sorry. Desire often creates paradoxical efforts. The more you want something, the more you chase it, the more it eludes you. The more interest you show, the more you repel the object of your desire, if that's not the truth. This is because your interest is too strong. It makes people awkward, even fearful. Uncontrollable desire makes you seem weak, unworthy, and pathetic. So if you've ever been pressing that girl, oh, that's the one, that's the one, the more you press it, it's like, ew, I don't want you. Like, you have to give that air, that royal air, my guy. Let's see. Oh, Law 46. Never appear too perfect. Envy creates silent enemies. It is smart to occasionally display defects and to admit harmless vices in order to deflect envy and appear more human and approachable. Do not try to help or do favors for those who envy you. They will think you are condescending to them. This is the one. This is number 2. Number 1 is my favorite one. But this was my number 1 fault for a while. Was I would try to be the super cool guy, like yeah, I'm the shit and I know it. But now I've learned you got to admit some of your flaws. Like, yeah, I have a problem with this. I don't do this. Da 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 da. Because when people think you're perfect, or you give the illusion that you are, that's when motherfuckers really start to hate you. That's when shit goes bad. And number 1, remember when I told you to remember what I said earlier and I'd come back to it? This is it. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. My reputation has preceded me. From everyone that knows me knows who True Sav is. And anytime someone has something bad to say about you, you have to nip that shit in the bud. In the book, it says to do it by destroying your enemies, by opening holes in their reputations. I don't really rock like that. I just kind of look, this is what it is. If you can't prove what you said, just like perfect example, my man that Welchs on the bet. Like, now your reputation is bad with me. Like, anybody who asks me about you, like, yeah, my man's a Welch. I can't rock. You got to protect your reputation with your life. All right. So, 48 Laws of Power. It was a good one. There's certain aspects of that contradict itself, but that's fine. It's different things for different situations. You can't apply every law unilaterally. You have to understand that when you read it. Some people are like, oh, well, you contradict yourself when you say this or that one. It's like, well, yeah, that's the point. Like, you do certain things in certain situations. You're not just going to be the same across the board. With that being said, what is it? They added a 49th one and a 50th one. What is it? The 49th one is not to talk about power and work situations. And then 50 wrote a book. What is it? Fear Nothing. It's like, it's a cash grab. But I mean, if you want to read those, knock yourself out. God bless you. Now, the one book that I read, Jesus. I read this when I was a freshman in high school. Pops gave it to me. Probably the best book I've ever read. Only book I've read multiple times. I read it more than once. Like, this is the one. If you're trying to figure out how to be self-confident, how to maneuver, like, this is the one that I would say got me where I'm at. Best book of all time. How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you haven't read it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You can get it on Google for less than $10. Probably one of the best-selling books of all time. I know it's on the Times top 100 books of all time. I want to say it's in the top 10. Let's see. Just really quick. I'm not going to give it away for you. There's a couple of major sections in core principles. One of the things is fundamental techniques in handling people. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Arousing other people an eager want. I mean, basically, it teaches you how to deal with people. Like, you kind of have to be outside of yourself. Especially, no one wants to be around that person that is always whining and complaining. And then when you're giving positive affirmation to people, it makes people like you. If you're telling someone you know you did a good job, so on and so forth, people need that. Like, not everyone, but for the majority of people, they want to hear positive things being said about them, especially in front of other people. That's 98% of my job is telling employees, even people who aren't the best employees, I still have to give them positive encouragement. I have to find something good about them, even though they might not always be doing something good. Uh, Another one, 6 ways to make people like you. Be genuinely interested in other people. I feel like sometimes, especially with social media now, people pretend. One thing I always do is birthdays aren't important to me, especially like for me. Like I don't really care. I didn't really do anything. Like I popped out a pussy. I didn't cure cancer or do anything really great, so I don't understand it. But for some people, that's a big deal. Like the birthday is the time they get to shine, and if that's what you like, always hit people up on their birthday. Hey, congratulations for popping out of this pussy. Happy birthday. You're the shit, and you know it. Or even accomplishments that they post on their social media. So that it's a double-edged sword. While people might be vain if they post a picture of their vacation or something like that, like, man, that's what's up. Or they got a raise promotion. Like, hey, bro, you're balling out of control. Do your thing. Smile. Oh, that's an easy one. That's my favorite one. Remember people's names. Like to that person, like, that's what's up. If you forget a motherfucker's name, like, they're going to hate you forever. Be a good listener. Talk in terms of other people's interest. Make the other person feel important. Just being a decent human being. I'm not going to go through all of them. You guys got to read it. But there's 6 core things I'll give you. It's fundamental techniques in helping people. 6 ways to make people like you. 12 ways to win people in your way of thinking. Be a leader. How to change people without giving offense and arousing resentment. One of them is letters that produce miraculous events. That's in the older book. That's not in the newer one. And then 7 rules to making your home life happier. That's the go-to one. But yeah, so I hope I answered your question, Ketty, with your email / text message / what you told me at work. I think I'm the shit because I've won so much. Like, I've lost, but I didn't take the experience of the loss and say, oh, well, I'm such a loser, such a this. And obviously everyone's situation is different. We all can't have made the shot or beat up the bully or any type of shit like that, but you have to take the wins that you have. I mean, there's obviously things that other people have done that I haven't. And you have to be more cognizant of your wins and not your losses. Everyone has a certain skill set that they need to use at their advantage. Some people can work on cars. I for goddamn sure can. I know. Oh, I almost forgot. Well, we got 2 minutes. I'll squeeze it in here. Another thing with confident was the kid had asked me, because I misrepresent who I am at work. They don't know me. So he had asked me who I lived with. I was like, oh, my wife and these other 2 girls. I'm referring to the dogs. I refer to them as people. And I wasn't really paying attention because I always say that. And he's like, you live with your wife and you have 2 girlfriends? I was like, well, all right, fuck it, I'll go with it. I was like, yeah. Like, what? And she doesn't care. Like, nah, she's not tripping. Whatever. What? How did you? Because I see him at work. I forgot. And when you get old, you forget that you were once a kid and that you were kind of stumbling through life, not necessarily knowing what to do. Because I'd be a lie if I said I was as confident with women now as I was back then. That would be an absolute lie. And I think when he asked me the question, this is what he was really asking, but he didn't know how to ask. And it's weird because I can see it in young men now and their interactions with women. Like the goofy, like trying to tell a joke or like always being in their face. And it's like, damn, that was me. This was absolutely me. This is why Pops used to laugh at me. Like, you ain't ever gonna get a pussy acting like that. And we'll talk about it in the True Sap Chronicles. Once you I don't want to say once you become indifferent to their feelings, but there's something to be said about a confident man. And if you're confident, you're not going to chase. Now, there's a difference between pursuing a romantic relationship and just chasing someone that you think is attractive. I think this is where people get caught up in the friend zone situation. Like where I never really, well, no, I got caught in the, well, no, I didn't do the friend zone because once it was obvious that you weren't fucking with me, then there was nothing to really talk about. Like, I don't want to be your friend. I'm trying to fuck on you. So there was nothing past that. It was actually funny. I saw a meme the other day that said that it's like if you like someone, just tell them. You'd say, hey, I'm interested in a romantic type of relationship. And if they say no, then that should be the end of it. Like, you shouldn't be hanging around, orbiting, trying to do favors and trying to sweetheart your way into getting some pussy. Like, that's never worked. Well, yes, it has, but it never turned into something that mattered. Like, if you have to do favors for someone and go out of your way to do shit to earn their type of love, then I mean, fuck them and fuck that. But I digress. When I see him interact with women at the job, it's kind of like, bro, like, you got to stop pandering for pussy. Like, that's not the way the game goes. Like, once you show that you're confident in yourself, and once you give off this kind of, because, well, I guess I'll tell an embarrassing story. In looking back now as an adult and talking to some of the women I used to go to high school with, I missed out on a lot of pussy because I just wasn't paying attention. I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I did, but I had no idea what I was doing. There was, well, when girls weren't threatening me with put out or get out, there was a couple where I just didn't know. I'd had no experience after that point, and it wasn't something that I talked about with my friends. Like, oh, like, what do I do? What do I? As a matter of fact, when I had the apartment, oh fuck, when I had the apartment, there was a girl. Again, I was 16 when I was a senior, and she was 15. So it looked weird because I was a senior, she was a freshman, but in reality, we're a year apart. So I was saying some slick shit like, oh, fucking, damn, bitch, you fine as wine. Let me hit something. It's like, all right, well, what are you doing after school? I was like, oh, shit. I didn't think I was going to talk myself into this. Because at the time, I didn't have any experience. So I thought you couldn't talk to girls like that. I thought if I said that, that was going to shut it down. So she was like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. Like, whatever. I get home at like 3:30. She's like, give me your address. I'll meet you there. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. What the fuck do I do? So school gets out. Go home. Sure enough, 30:45, knock on the door. Now, at the time, my uncle lived there, so he wasn't tripping. Like, he just went back in the room. It's like, we're sitting there, we're bullshitting. He's like, let's go in the room. I'm like, okay. I'm like, let me go to the bathroom real quick. So she goes in the room, I go in the bathroom, try to get myself a pep talk. I come in the room, she is 100% naked. So I'm like, oh shit, it's going down. So I'm just like, hey, why don't we go watch Dragon Ball Z? She just kind of looks at me like, why don't you Dragon Ball Z this pussy, nigga? I was like, I don't have any condoms. It was the only thing I could think of. So she's kind of, okay. And we go on the front, we bullshit for a little bit. And then, yeah, that was the end of that. And she never came back. So, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. Fast forward to college, I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Had I? Oh, yeah. I had knocked. At that point, I got to college. I had knocked down like 2 chicks I went to high school with after I graduated. And it wasn't because of any any game that I had. I promise you, it was because they liked me and they were a little bit more forceful. They were like, "Look, you're gonna take this pussy." So my rap was still kind of whack at this point. Specifically, I remember a time when I was at ARC and I was talking to this girl that was cute. And I was like, "Hey, what's up? Woo, 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 woo. I'm True Sad." Da, 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 da. And my opening line was, "I play football." And she looked at me, and the dude next to me looked at me and was like, "Bro, like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've never really had, I'd never been in a situation with people who didn't know me, where I was just the new guy. So I didn't have rap. My rap was whack. I had little to no game. But of course, with some trial and error, I got a little bit more confident in my rap, and I started knocking them down. Well, no, I didn't. Yes, I did. Let me stop lying. But then I met the love of my life, and all of that stopped. And they lived happily ever after. I mean, but I wasn't a fucking lady killer, let's be honest. Like, that's not what it was. But as I got older, I learned the more confident you are in yourself, the easier it is to not only deal with women, but to deal with other people and jobs and everyday situations, so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm the shit, you know it. Oh, it is a sad, sad day. It is a sad, sad day. So now you know. Now you know, my man. I'm not gonna out you, but yeah, listen to this. Go read a couple books, and you get a little bit more confidence in your shot. So next week is Thanksgiving. This week is Thanksgiving, I should say. It's gonna be a little bit weird. I don't know if I'm gonna have an episode for next week, so cross your fingers. We're gonna see how this plays out. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll have pictures of the new house. Maybe even like an Instagram video or something. But I'm not sure. I don't know. And I swore I was gonna tell the story of some of the True Sav Chronicles. I got you. That will be the next episode. I absolutely promise. I'll tell some funny stories from back in the day. You know the deal. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, True Sav Comedy. Questions, comments, concerns, best day ever podcast at gmail.com. Yeah, get your confidence together and you can knock them down like your boy TRUSAV. I can't get yesterday back. I might not get tomorrow, so that makes today the best day ever. Peace.